So I found a video for y'all. Man, I got a headache, y'all, so y'all gonna have to excuse me. I found a video for y'all about a new rule that only the state of Texas, the House just passed, or that's gonna make a use of. And if y'all pay close attention, this rule is gonna open up a little bit more doors in the trucking market for some of y'all. Not all of y'all, obviously, but for some of y'all. Pretty much it's making it mandated to where people who want to work in the in the great state of Texas gonna have to have approval. They have to be authorized. I didn't know that wasn't even a thing already. But apparently, as of right now, you don't have to be authorized to work in the United States. You just have to have a CDL for Mexico and Canada. Anyways, man, listen, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna let my boy break it down for y'all, and then we're gonna come back, okay? Because I feel like this is gonna create a whole lot of job opportunities for you and me, okay?
Bill 4337 that was passed here in Texas and goes into effect here in a couple weeks. Before I do that, though, make sure that you're following or subscribing to my profile. It's the least you can do since you're getting this information for free. Let's discuss this House bill that was passed here in Texas. This is going to affect Mexico and Canadian drivers. It's to drive a commercial vehicle. You can drive with a Mexican CDL, a U.S. state CDL, or a Canadian CDL. And the nationality of the driver doesn't matter. You can have a German driver with a Mexican CDL drive here in the United States, but it's only those three countries that we accept here, all right? But the nationality doesn't matter. But let's talk about what it is. Some of y'all may have seen this circling around. I legit had 5 of my previous students send me this today, and the reason that I'm making this video. But all that happened is Texas adopted into our state law that a driver with a foreign CDL has to have work authorizations, but shouldn't affect anybody's operation because you as an employer are already required to check that your employees, whether they're CDL drivers or not, this is even for your non-CDL employees, anybody that's going to work for a company here in the U.S., you have to be authorized to work in the U.S. You're required to do that for anybody that's coming to work for your company anyway. So it really shouldn't matter, and you shouldn't be too concerned about this as far as your even your foreign CDL drivers, because you were supposed to make sure they were authorized to work here in the first place. The change in our transportation code that's going to happen, you'll see it says that a person may drive a commercial motor vehicle in this state if they have a CDL or a COP, commercial learner's permit, issued by another state. So paragraph A first addresses another jurisdiction, meaning another U.S. state here in the United States. And then paragraph B is where it says they have a CDL or COP issued by a foreign jurisdiction that meets the testing standards of U.S. DOT and is authorized under federal law to work in the United States. Now they just are requiring that they're authorized to work here in the U.S. Okay, so how is this in reality going to happen? If right now one of your drivers gets pulled over, and as long as they have a valid CDL, then that's all that matters. That's all that a DOT inspector is going to care about, is that they have a proper license. You don't worry about a work visa or whatever else. You don't worry about that because that's not part of the inspection process. Now what's going to happen is if you have a driver that has a Canadian CDL or a Mexican CDL, they're going to also then have to present the inspector proof of authorization here in the U.S., and that's simply going to be either they have a work visa where they're one of these like a B1 type driver, or they have a residency. But if you have already residency, you have to have a U.S. state CDL because now you're technically domiciled here in the United States. But I've been getting asked, what about my B1 drivers? A B1 driver just has a B1 permit, meaning that they're authorized to be in the country on some type of business. It's a business permit. A B2 is the tourist visa. So if you have a driver that has a Mexican CDL but has a B2 tourist permit that allows them to be here in the States as a tourist, then that's going to be a driver that wouldn't be authorized to drive a commercial vehicle because they're not here authorized to work. They're only authorized to visit. B1 drivers already have that work permit, but the restriction they have is that they can only make a run into the United States to the point of destination, and then from the destination back, destined back into Mexico. So they can't make an interstate run. Let me give you an example. You have drivers coming out of Laredo and they're taking a load up to New York. Well, they have to take that load straight to New York and they have to return back to Laredo. They can't go down to Alabama, make a run over to Kansas, and then return to Laredo. That's not a DOT restriction, that's an immigration restriction. Even a federal US DOT inspector can't enforce immigration law. All you would care about as an inspector at that time is that they have a valid CDL to drive. And lastly, when it comes to what's the consequences or enforcement action, I don't really know at this time. I mean, this is just gonna be my opinion based on someone that used to enforce the rules or whatnot. But I think what'll happen is that if you have a driver get pulled over that doesn't have work authorization, they're probably going to, at the most, be issued a citation. But here's why I don't believe it'll be an out of service is everything that's based out of service has to be federal. And this is specific to Texas. What I think will happen, though, is that you would have an authorized detainment. And let me give you an example. If you have a driver that gets caught with, let's say, an expired license plate on the truck, well, technically, they're not supposed to operate that vehicle until it's properly registered, but they're not at a service per se under CVSA or FMCSA rules, right? It's just it's a temporary authorized detainment until you obtain registration, or your driver gets popped for the trailer being overweight. You know, there's also a temporary detention until you unload it. So you're not at a service. You're just overweight, and you can't have an overweight vehicle going down the road. I think at the most they issue a citation.
I mean, anything can happen. And here's where we come in. You and I come in here. Job opportunities back to open up in the great state of Texas. Because let's say if it's just 1 or 2 people, 2 out of 10 people in the company that is not authorized or that doesn't have the proper paperwork lined up, they're gonna have to go, or that company gonna have to raise some fines. 1 or 2, even though in the video he broke down that he don't think it'll be an out of service violation, but if you're not authorized to work here, that's gonna be at the discretion of the state trooper or whoever pull you over. I guarantee you some people gonna be going home just as a preventative measure. So that's going to leave a whole lot of job opportunities for you and me in the great state of Texas. But anyways, if you're paying attention, you should be getting to the money next year. If not, it is what it is. I just thought I'd let y'all know if some of y'all in that category, you know, just coming in here running because you got an international CDL, please be careful out there, man. Because them Texas boys ain't playing. Them good old boys. Oh, yeah. They're going to be on the lookout.